everyone. So tonight I'm going to discuss with you all something that I saw today was just like real crazy. So a young lady lost her life today inside a prison. She was shot inside of a prison. Prison is, it was always messed up. It was always terrible. But now this shit is whacked. Like seriously, this is getting real whacked. So before I turn the sound on, I'm going to read the bottom to you all. It says, in a chilling twist of fate, an incarcerated man at Smith State Prison in Georgia took the life of a 24-year-old kitchen worker. Her name was, I'm going to just call her last name. Her first name was kind of hard for me. Grace. Her last name was her name is Miss Grace. The inmate had a personal connection with Grace, who worked for Aramark Food Services Company that provided meals for the prison. Hart was somehow able, his name is Mr. Hart. Hart was somehow able to smuggle a gun behind the prison walls that he ultimately used to take the victim's life as well as his own. Grace's mother says she learned of her daughter's murder from other inmates who had smuggled phones in prison. They were able to go through Grace's social media and find relatives sending them messages of the incident. The investigation is ongoing. This is ludicrous. So I'm going to let y'all hear. This is crazy. They have up here at the top of the thing, it says inmate shoots kitchen worker in Georgia State Prison before taking his own life. Officials confirms prison relationship. This is ludicrous. Okay, here we go.
Contraband phone. She was working hard to take it. Working hard to take care of her kids. But first, the mother of a woman shot and killed by an inmate at a Georgia prison is speaking only with Fox 5. And that is where we start tonight on News Edge at 11. I'm Christine Spiro.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Tom Haynes. 24-year-old Arian Grace died at Smith State Prison in southeast Georgia over the weekend.
Now her family is sharing their heartbreak and their anger with News Edge reporter Rob D'Arienzo here live in studio.
That's right, guys. Good evening. Well, this family is hurt. They're shocked, but they're also furious with the Georgia Department of Corrections. The mom of 24-year-old Arian Grace says she was just trying to earn a living, and the prison failed to keep her safe.
I'm really in disbelief of the fact that it was even a firearm in the facility.
24-year-old Arian Grace's family started getting messages on Facebook early Sunday morning that something was terribly wrong at her job at Smith State Prison.
Inmates were going through social media, looking on her social media to find people related to her.
And that's how Deshonda Higgins found out about her daughter's murder. The prison says inmate Jay Drakus Hart shot Grace, then himself. She was working for the food company Aramark in the kitchen there. Prison officials said Monday they believe Grace and Hart had a personal relationship, but her mom sees that as a deflection.
What does that have to do with an inmate having a gun to kill my child?
And Higgins wants the Department of Corrections to focus on that, how the gun got into a maximum security prison where some of the most violent state convicts stay. She says investigators have ripped apart her daughter's apartment while executing a search warrant, leaving behind this mess.
And bust the bags open all over my grandchildren's stuff. They broke her bed.
It's not clear what, if anything, they found. A spokesperson for the Department of Corrections says that inmate with a contraband phone got in touch with her family before prison staff got a chance.
they totally went in damage control instead of trying to figure out how they can correct the system.
Grace leaves behind a 1-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter. The 24-year-old was saving money to go to nursing school.
No one deserves to die. And especially at work, where she was working hard to take care of her kids.
And the Georgia Department of Corrections spokesperson said,
Wow. So this young lady had a job with Aramark. Aramark is a company. I think they do a couple of things, but I do know one of the things is they do hire people for food service workers. So she was working at Aramark as a food service worker, and they assigned her the job to be a food service worker in a prison, in this Georgia State prison, where it's not clear to me, it's not clear, they just saying her and this guy, Hart, were in a relationship. One day I'll go into prison relationships, but I'm going to say this. I always felt that, not me, because my prison situation was different, I'll say, because it was my son's father. So that was someone that I knew from the streets. A lot of these prison relationships come by another inmate introduce another inmate to a female on the street or their family member's friend or something like that. Then they have, in prison, they have these, it's called pen pals, where the inmates are able to meet different women, and believe it or not, the women on the outside take care of them on the inside. But there's a twist to that, because you have a lot of men prisoners who really have money. I will be doing another story. Maybe I'll do it this weekend on and I know him. He was at Jessup prison, where he had sexual relationships with certain officers, where he got impregnated 4 or 5 of them. But he had money. So he was able to use his money to take care of them. They were on the street and he was in prison, but they were guards. I think not all of them, but some of the prison guards, the ladies, they got fired. I'm going to dig into the case a little more. But I do know that for a fact because I know him. And it's just unfortunate that this young girl, she was young, in her 20s. She had 2 kids she was trying to feed. So whatever the confliction is, or whatever was going on, he knew that he didn't want, I guess he must was in prison for a life sentence also, because after he took her life, he took his. So he knew on top of that, that he didn't want to live, I guess, no more through what he was already living through. You know what I'm saying? Because, yeah, they probably was going to give him the electric shit. So go ahead and take your life, which is a sucker's way to go out. But, hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And whatever triggered him, like, they have this show called, what is it called? Freedom After Lockup, or Lockup, or something like that. And these ladies are really on there, and they met these men in prison. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I know a lot of men. I know a lot of men. I was going to say, counting on my fingers, 10 is not even enough of how many men that I know in different prisons in different states. And a lot of them, yeah, I was affiliated through my son's father. A lot of them I knew from the street, and you know, they introduced me to certain people to try to help them. But I've never ever had a prison relationship with another prisoner, because for me, I've always felt like some people might think I'm a little insensitive or what I'm about to say, or like I'm thinking I'm bougie. So it's not that, but I've always felt like, what can a dude in prison do for me? Like I knew basically I would be doing everything for him, you know, unless it's one of them ones who actually had their own money, you know what I'm saying? And they don't tell you that. You have to know it, or maybe it just comes eventually. So I've always felt like I couldn't deal with not in a relationship, deal with a man that was in prison unless I knew him from the streets already. Already knew him, knew what type of duty was with him. I didn't meet him in prison. So, you know, so I don't want to try to degrade another woman and saying it, but I've always felt it would be for me like low self-esteem, and I don't have that. You know what I'm saying? And I can't find a man on the street, so I have to go and to fulfill myself, deal with a man that's in prison. Because see, one thing about that is you always know where they at. You always know that they're in prison. I can't even say like it's not so much they can do in prison, because that's a lie. It's a lot they can do in prison. It's a lot that they can do in prison. So when I'm seeing certain women go through things with dudes in prison, I be looking at them like they crazy. I'll be like, and you know, I have my situations too. You know what I'm saying? But I just say mine's a whole different situation from, you know, what they be going through. Like I'm not. It's just crazy. So now to sum it all up, this young lady has lost her life to an inmate, and he took his own life, you know what I'm saying? But why take this girl life? Why just, you already in prison, you had a life sentence probably, or whatever was going on with you. What, why would you take her life and take her from her kids? Like a lot of these men, man, they have no respect, they have no morals, they have no dignity, they have no fucking self-control about anything. And they most definitely forgot about loyalty and trust. See, a lot of them, they play these mind games, and I can't, when you start playing mind games with me, and I know you're lying or you're playing mind games, that's a trigger for me, and I just start flipping all the fuck out. I just flip off. I just start, and a lot of men, they don't like to be faced with the truth. They don't like to be faced with the truth. So as long as they feel as though they can manipulate you to have you thinking this, that, and the third about them, or that they're these uptight people, they're on their game, this, that, and the other. But what they fail to realize is that shit doesn't hold for long. And what I'm saying by that is you eventually sees the real person. You eventually see what they're really made of. You eventually see what's really going on. And a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, like a lot of men, they try to go for the women who have their own businesses or who have stuff going on to highlight them, or for them to lift them up in a situation while they're sitting around playing these games, you know, like, yeah, I got her, I'm gonna make her think that I'm this, that, and other, when you really don't have nothing. You really have nothing. You're trying to get somewhere, and instead of just be up front and say, I'm trying to get somewhere, you know what I'm saying? So you know, may she rest in peace. But this young lady shouldn't have lost her life, not to somebody who already lost his life to the prison system. It's very unfortunate. Now, when her kids grow up, she got a boy and a girl. When her kids grow up, their grandmother is going to tell them, you know, your mother basically lost her life to someone who was in prison who had lost their life to the government. Like, make it make sense. This just don't make sense. But we as women have to learn, have to know what we're facing and what we're getting ourselves into. And that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. You know what I'm saying? But it makes no sense. It makes no sense. You got some people out here fighting to get people out of prison. You have a lot of inmates, that's male and females, that are really in prison for crimes that they did not commit. You have a lot of inmates in prison, and they have dealt with a lot. Mental health again is real. So, where do you draw the line? And here it is, this dude. So, and I'm going to say, because I know how prison rolls, he was somebody. He was somebody. And when I'm saying somebody, like, he was a different style of a dude. He had pull. He had pull. In order for him to get a firearm in the prison, he had pull. But he was a coward and a sucker. Because he took his own life. He should have never took this young lady's life. He should have let her go. Whatever the situation was. And then see, a lot of women, they get caught up in these dudes triangle with, in prison, they use you for the hype. Like, they use you to go and, do drug transactions for them, or take it, they call it taking care of business. And she might have got caught up in something like that, you know what I'm saying, where she might have took some money and he might have got mad. We will never know, because they're both deceased. I don't know what they found in her house. They said they probably didn't find anything, or they did. But at the bottom line, something triggered him to take her life. And usually, sometimes it's either jealousy. She was dealing with another man and didn't want nothing else to do with him. Or it's something about some type of transactions that went on between them. And he felt, I got to take hers and take mine, because she done spent the money and these niggas going to kill me anyway. So, I mean, but we would never know. But may that young lady rest in peace. And no person should lose their life like that. No woman should lose that at that age, man. That's true. She didn't even really get to live her life in any type of way. She didn't really get to live her life. So, with that being said, I'm going to close out, y'all. Have a good night and enjoy your weekend. I might be back before this. I might be back tomorrow. If I'm not back on live tomorrow, then I will see y'all one day next week. But I know I do have some things that I'm going to discuss, some other stories. And one of the stories was about the guy I just talked about, who had money in prison, and he impregnated, I think it's like 4 or 5 of the prison guards. So they got low self-esteem too, because you're a prison guard, so you're on the street, but you want to take this dude that's in prison, and he has life. I think he got 3 or 4 licenses, 2 or 3 licenses. But I'm gonna have everything ready for when I, come back for the show. But that was a little drastic for me too. But we as women, man, we fall victim to a lot that we shouldn't, because I'm not getting pregnant by no dude in prison. Like it doesn't make it didn't make sense to me. It don't make sense to me for me. I'm not getting pregnant by no dude in prison. I'm not even, I can't. To each his own. Just hear me out. To each his own. I'm not going down no prison to sleep with no dude. My son father had his time. But it wasn't with me. I just feel it's just disrespectful. Now, it's just and I've been with several females who have done it. Lawton in Washington, D.C. was a big thing for them. Baby, they would get on that Lawton bus, honey, and go down there, and them dudes, they would have one family day. Yeah. Family day was really family day. Family day was really family day. Man, we used to have females getting on the bus with stains in the back of their dresses, stains on their pants. I mean, like, it was something to see and something to remember. But I could never. I had to let my man or my dude, or I let my baby father take his own shot. But it wasn't me. Over the DC jail. The lawyers take them in. to see the inmates or whatever. They supposed to be back there like they, investigators and stuff like that whole time. The lawyers done hooked them up where they can, sleep with the dudes. Hey. And it was police over DC jail sleeping with dudes on the elevators, all type of shit. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's how they go. And more blessings to them. But for me, I'm not going down that road. I'm not that desperate. I mean, not even being desperate, just like, I just think it's a thing of respect, And I remember one time I used to go to Ferreton, New Jersey. I'll talk about who I went to see there later on. But there was a guy there, him and his wife. And she would always wear a dress. And they would always be on the outside of the tier. And when you having conjugal visits mean you can touch the person. Like, they'll sit across from you, you'll sit across from them. But when you're having conjugal visits, you're just supposed to be sitting across from each other. But by him taking her out on the, what I say, like the little patio part or out where the grass and stuff was, she was able to sit on top of him and they were having sex. And it happened on every visit. And, he had money, so he never got a write-up for it. He never got a shot or anything because the police was cool with it. He was cool with it. He was paying them off. She was paying them off. And then they have a thing where if the inmate is cool with the officers that's on duty for visits, you can pay the officers and they will, they let you have your day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just not one of those women. I'm just not. I don't like people because people look at you in a certain way when you do shit like that. And I'm for real. And it's nobody's business. It's really nobody's business. But I just can't. I can't get down like that. So if a dude I was dealing with, he had life and he said to me, Astorcia, but you can find somebody else. You most definitely can. And then, when you're married, certain prisons, when you're married, they let you and the wife have conjugal visits where y'all sleep together or y'all got a couple of hours together in a room or something like that. Somebody has to pay for it. You can pay for it, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you can't, some prisons do that. It's not a lot, just a little, I think like maybe I'll give it 4 if it's that many. But they do that where you and your wife can go and y'all can have sex, for a couple of hours, especially if you got life. So it can be done. It can be done in a respectful, legal way. So, okay, y'all. Good night.